All right, well, since the IPCC recognized that one of the gravest impacts of climate change on societies would be on human migration, I guess it's fair to say that a lot of progress has been made in the international negotiations on climate change with regard to migration and displacement. That for quite some time, these UNFCCC negotiations actually appeared as the prime location where to discuss the issue of people displaced as a result of climate change. The Cancun Framework for Adaptation, which was adopted in 2010, recognized that migration could be an adaptation strategy, and therefore, since then, migration has been included as part of the different adaptation strategies, as part of the portfolio of strategies that people could develop in reaction to the impacts of climate change. But the focus has also been on avoiding people being forcibly displaced as a result of climate change. This is the reason why migration is part of the talks on the loss and damage mechanism, and this is also why the task force on displacement, which was established by the Paris Agreement in 2015, makes recommendation to avoid that people are forcibly displaced.
So the task force for displacement and climate change is a group of 13 experts that has been tasked and mandated under the Paris Agreement to work together to deliver recommendations on how to tackle the issues of human mobility in the context of climate change. The task force has worked very hard for 2 long years. There has been a lot of research ongoing, many mappings, a lot of collaboration. We had a major stakeholder meeting involving civil society, involving academics, in order to produce a set of recommendations. The set of recommendations then has been put forward to the executive committee of the Warsaw Mechanism on Loss and Damage. And it's this EXCOM that took it on to present it then to parties at the climate conference here in Poland.
And I think our job has been to bring technical expertise, evidence, and our knowledge related to climate change and human mobility, and trying to analyze and put together what are the main challenges, whether it's at the level of knowledge, whether the challenges at the level of institutional responsibility, whether there are norm gaps, legal gap, and what are the human rights protection challenges in this area. This week, parties have considered a recommendation, and what will be the outcome is that the recommendation themselves will be annexed to the COP decision, and the decision by the COP will be to invite parties and other bodies under the convention, alongside with international organizations and other stakeholders, to consider the recommendation when they do their work related to averting, minimizing, and addressing displacement related to the adverse effect of climate change. And that is a huge achievement. There is no clear recognition within the Conference of Parties of what are the main challenges related to displacement and climate change, and there is an outline of what can and should be done to avert, minimize, and address displacement.
So I would say that we've come quite a long way in terms of developing concrete policy recommendations and concrete policy responses to climate change and migration since the mid-2000s, when the issue came up on the agenda of the negotiations. The Global Compact on Migration, which was adopted earlier this month in Marrakesh, includes a whole section on climate change. The key question is now how to align the priorities of the UNFCCC negotiations with other negotiations and other policy forums. That's always the problem, that sometimes climate-induced migration is tackled from one side but not from the other. I think that the challenge ahead is really now policy coherence.